guys? I'm here in my little hidden quarters at the time, and it's time to rebuild this motor. I've put it through a couple different flights and seasons, and it's been neglected a little. So we're gonna go over the motor, diagnose it, and figure out what has worn and is it time to replace all these items I have here, or a few of them. But essentially, I would like to replace them all. I even have some bearings here that we're going to slap in there too, front and rear. I've never tried a bearing without a race. With the shield that's plastic. So I'm going to try that this time. So let's do it. I'll be back. Peace. We're going to pull apart this raw Nitro. Pull the motor out. It's been a good amount of seasons of flying, and it's abused, and it's time to get it all back fresh and ready to go. So let's look at it here. Let's see the piston ring here. If you look really good in there, I don't know if you can see what I'm seeing here, but the ring is no longer as black as it should be, meaning it's worn. So it's done its job. I don't see any scoring on the sleeve, on the piston at all. But once we pull it apart, we'll be able to see it within more detail, okay? The head looks good. Usually if you overheat it or run it too lean, all of this will be burned to aluminum color. So we're gonna put it in the oven. I've got the oven heating up at 200 degrees, and I'll let it sit in there for about 7 to 10 minutes just to get it nice and hot, free up all the gummy nitro oil that's stuck everywhere and keeping things in place. So let's pull it apart. We'll pull off the glow plug, the head, then the carburetor, then the back plate, if I remember to go that route. So let's see. Glow plug's a little dark. You can see that we've actually ran this pretty good. I don't think I changed this throughout the whole season. So if you look right in there, it looks kind of white, like it's about to go out. So it's time for a new one with a new build. All right, we're gonna pull the head. I got my my number 3.0 here, and I like to use another hex driver crossed to kind of give me a little leverage on breaking these bolts. So I just break them all at the same time in a cross pattern, whatever, a star pattern. All right, so we'll go here, pop. So we just, once we break them all, then we'll remove each bolt one by one. Same pattern, just get used to it. Best way to seat a gasket or a head, even on cars. So just keep on crossing it up until we get this all out. So now we're just gonna give it a little twist. See if we can lift the head straight up. Wiggle it, shim it. Look at that, everything's off. I'm just gonna cup it so the bolts don't fall out. And we'll check out the head here. I don't have any kind of pinging or debris bouncing around, or you would actually see it. The markings would be there. It would actually create little craters in this head. Let's go ahead and just remove this gasket here real carefully. Let's get under there with the razor. Look at that, perfect. And I've been running 23.5% fuel. So this is the stock 1 shim. If you want to run 30%, you should run 0.02 shims. So this one looks pretty good. I'm just going to put it over here for now. And we'll put the head there also. And then you also want to make sure, you can see here, there's nothing on this side, and you have the OS Max on this side. And we want to keep that in line. So we got to pay attention to detail on all of these things here, because there's going to be a lot of orientations and movement. So just keep your eyes peeled. This piston looks awesome, man. Look at that. Looks really good. Wow. It's clean. I got my rag here just to touch up little things. Take a good look at it. Look at that. That's crispy. All right, let's go ahead and pull this carb off. All right, we are with a number 2.5. That's the right size here. All right. We're just gonna loosen it and pull that bolt all the way out. And remember, the bolt is being removed from the OS Max AZ side here, where the carburetor needles are sticking out, the high and low, in the mid. Let me pull this out here. There we go. I'm gonna put this to the side here. All right, let's clear this up a little bit, get a little space. Now we should be able to shift this carb left and right. And as we're doing that, then we can lift it. So I'm gonna start shifting it here until we can pop it out. There you go, check it out. So just be aware of everything here with the orientation. So carb sits on the left side where it says OS Max, where that's where the needles are. So all right, so we don't have to worry about replacing anything here. This is always pretty good. It actually deals with the heat well. So I got a little ring here, and it's like a rubber collar to help squeeze that carb in place with these two pressed in half circles. I'm gonna try to remove that. I'm just gonna stick this flathead right in here and give it a little small twist. If it was hard to do, I would not do that, but it is not. Look at that, pop, pop. And there are O-rings on here as well. That's why we're removing them. You don't want to cook these in the oven for a super long time either. And we're going to place these over here. I actually like to put things right back as a reminder. So what I'll do is put it together here like this. And then I'll get this bolt right through there. All right? And just hand tighten it a little. Just to keep them in place. Just a reminder, this bolt belongs to this area. All right, so next, back plate, right? We're going to break these bolts. And just like the header, I'll keep all the bolts in place right where they came from. So if they stretched in that area and mated with that, it'll be able to sit back in place properly without any issues. So just a little twist here also. Might not be able to get much, but there you go. Pull that off. And if you look at this, you can also see that on the bottom here, that's where the governor sensor is able to go. So that's the bottom, and this is the top here where it has that indentation to clear the piston. You see? All right, look, we got some signs of rust in here. I guess from the moisture. Pretty oily. Not bad. I like when it's oily. All right, and then we're gonna do this. We'll turn the crankshaft until we get to top dead center. It means the piston is all the way at its highest point, you know, and then we'll just grab right here, if possible. Sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes I'll do something like this. Oh, that ain't gonna work. All right, so let's do this. We'll push it up from here. We'll try to get up in there, if you can see it there, and kind of push that sleeve out. And if it doesn't want to move, then we're gonna have to add some heat to it to get it to move. So let's do that. Let's get this heat gun cooking really quick. Okay, I got my cordless heat gun. I'm gonna use this here. It's pretty cool. I can actually set the temp, so let's get it going. And get it cooking right on the head here, right on the top of this short block. You can also get some little oven mitts or gloves, something that can help. I'm just going to use a rag to kind of hold it. I have hot hands from cooking, so I can deal with a little heat. So let's warm it up and get this thing loose. You don't want to scratch anything here or damage anything with any tools. Right, so it's pretty warm. I can feel it all the way down here in the bottom of the block. So I'm going to try to grab it with this rag here. Oh, look at that. You see? It slides right out. It's still pretty hot. So just pop that out. See that? you go. Place it right there. Matter of fact, let's check it out really quick. I'm excited. So look at this. It's got a little bit of rust, you know. No, I'm not gonna lie. I would actually reuse this. This is fine. There's no vertical line scoring, markings, or anything that would grab that piston ring and tear it apart here. So it looks pretty good to me. It looks really, really good. This is actually really good. So let's put that over there. And let's pop this out. We're going to get back up to tether. All right, so we're here. I've got the sleeve out. Let's see about pulling this out. Top dead center. Pistons at the top. Crank is the piston rods at the top also. We're going to grab it from the top and the bottom here like this. Just slide it right off. It's nice and warm still from that heat gun, so it'll pop right off. We're going to pull them out slowly. Then we'll put this block down here. And then look at the orientation. So, you know that once I pulled it right out from the block. And this actual shape here was facing the rear of the block. And then if I flip it over, you see like this, it has the same kind of shape cut out there, but it's kind of curved here. So this curve is to miss the crankshaft as it turns over. So let's pop it back in the correct way and check it out really quick. Check it out. So we'll hold this in the center. And we'll hold this like I said before. Drop them back on, you see? So as it turns down, it won't collide with that crankshaft. Okay, so orientation. And then if you look right here on the back of the piston rod, there are these markings because it rubs on the back of that crankcase. If I show you here, see the swirl marks? I don't know if it's too bright for you to see that, but you can see like the swirl marks. There you go. So that's the way we want to make sure we reinstall it. So let's pop this right quick, pull it out, and then we'll put the motor down here. Matter of fact, let's see. We'll put the motor down there. We already went over there. Let's look at this ring. So you see the ring? It's like a light gray. That's no good. So we're losing compression there. The piston doesn't have any scoring. It has a little different color on it, like it's, you know, not super clean. Let's wipe it down real quick. You see? But it looks good. Barely has anything. It's pretty smooth. You can feel it if you hit it with your nail. So also with the piston, right? So we spoke about that. So here, swirl marks facing the back. This actual shape here is also facing the back. The ring should be black, but it is not. It's gray. There's actually a pin here that sets the ring and keeps it in place. So let's find it. There it goes right there. You see it right there in the hole. See it in between there? So let's pull this ring off. So what I like to do, I just hold it from the end of one side, squeeze the back, and then I'll grab it from right here. You see? I'm grabbing it from right there, and then I'll just lift it over the side like this. And I'll hold this still here with my thumb, and then I'll slide it right over the top. And you don't want to open this too much, and you want to take it easy because you can snap this ring right off. Super easy. Super easy to snap. And I try to rotate it and get it over the top. See that? See how it ships right over the side? You just pop right up. So that's the way I would remove my ring there. Alright, so ring, no good. Piston is fine. Yeah, so I heated this for a while with the heat gun. I got it all nice and greased up with some after run oil. I'm gonna pop it out now. It should be easy. Look at that. Now that it's warm, it should pop right out. See that? I'll grab the piston. There we go. It's popped right out. If you look at it, the top portion of the piston is smaller, the piston rod itself. So the piston rod has a smaller portion at the top and a larger portion at the bottom. And like I said before, you can tell the back from the front. These swirl marks here that you see, I can kind of show you. Yeah, there you go. You can kind of see there. Even on this side, it's completely clean. So this one doesn't touch the crankshaft at all, but this touches the back plate and rubs on it the whole time. So it's kind of flat on this side, flush, and has like a little lip on this side. Okay, everything here looks as it should. It looks worn, nothing burned out. I like to just wipe them down really quick. Put that there. Get this one here. Put this one here. So next up, we're gonna look at this casing, spin it. You see that? That bearing has a little rust on it down there. If you look real good. And you can see the rust in the case, in the lighting there. It's just on that bearing. It's the moisture. I live in Miami, so it gets hot and humid here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this to the kitchen, stick it in the oven at 200 degrees. I've already got it preheated. And I'm gonna leave it there for about 10 minutes. So I'll be back. Once we got it nice and hot, we're gonna come in. Well, actually, we can probably do it now. We can try to pop this thing out. Okay, let's try to pop this crankshaft out. Let's do that first. I'm gonna heat it with the heat gun. Heat gun is the best trick of your life. I'm just gonna heat up the area that I actually want to remove that crankshaft, which is gonna be right here, stuck on the front bearing and on the rear bearing there. The rear bearing is in there. So I kind of just want to get that shaft nice and hot. I'm gonna get up and stand and apply enough pressure to try to get this thing out for once and for all. Okay. There we go. Pop, 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 pop. Crank cake's a little hot still. Just grab it. Lift it. Look at that. Looks good. There's a little. These aren't anything rough, superficial marks. All right. Place this here. Now we can take it to the kitchen and cook it. So we're gonna go cook this baby. All right, guys. We're here in the kitchen. 200 degrees preheated in the oven. Motor's here in my hand. I'm gonna pop it in for about 10 minutes. I want it nice and hot. I've had trouble with all the other parts trying to get them off. I guess they've been stuck. It's been sitting for a while. Pop them right there on the rack. Kind of slide them back a little bit. All right, guys. So motor's ready. It's hot and ready. 200 degrees. I'm gonna put it out in the oven. This microfiber thick towel. Hopefully I can get over here, knock it on the counter here flat with the bottom side down, and the bearing should fall right out. So let's see. There we go. 3 knocks and it's out. Then I'm gonna grab something to pop this out here. I got this here. It's just something with the size of the bearing that I can use to remove the front bearing out. So what I'll do is I'll kind of hold it in my hand and just press from behind. Maybe a little love tap. Just gonna use this. That's all it took. A little love tap. All right, so while it's hot, all right, guys. So we got the motor out the oven. We're gonna pop the rear bearing onto the crankshaft. I'm gonna slide them on all the way to the back. Then we're gonna insert it from the back here. Slide it right in. And why we do this is because this area here will grab in there perfectly, and it'll guide this bearing in straight and square. And I like to just kind of push on it. I think it's already sitting in there, huh? Pretty good, yeah, it went right in. It's in there. And then we're gonna grab, I like to put my hand back here and hold this. And we'll grab the other bearing here and we'll flip it because you want the front covered. I'm gonna slide that right on there. that's why I have this for leverage. It matches with it perfectly. And then I'll push. And if I can't get it that way, I'll just put it here. And because this is longer than that, while I push, it won't push the shaft back through. I'm just gonna get it lined up. Cushion for my hands. Let me get a camera view for you guys. Perfect. That's awesome. I should have wiped this motor down earlier, but it's not too bad. But yeah, that's what the alcohol for. Hit it with some alcohol, but it looks pretty good, even though, no? Alright, so now I'm going to open up all these packages here. I'm probably going to set them up for 30%. So I'm going to add 2 shims, a new piston, a new ring, and a new sleeve. Let's go ahead and get this thing ready to go. So we're going to start with the piston, the wrist pin, the rod, and these little pins that hold the wrist pin in, okay? So let's start. So remember, this is the front of the block to clear the crankshaft. This is the rear to clear the back plate. So the rear is facing me. And then remember, the rear here had the swirl marks. The larger end was for the actual crank. So we're going to install it in this orientation here. I'm going to slide this pin through. So let's get it. Let's start. All right, so check it out. I'm just going to pop this in here. I'm going to grab the pin. And these already have oil on them from earlier, so I don't have to add anything. It should slide right in, but if it's not smooth, then I will. See, that popped right in. All right. All right, so that's in. I'm going to grab these pins, the little end clips, and I'm going to use these needle nose, and I'm going to grab them right here. And I'm going to try to pop this corner here into that little groove that's designed to hold this clip. That's what I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to hold it here, squeeze. I'm going to pop this side in, and as I pop it in, I'll press and turn counterclockwise and pop the rest in, right? So we'll make sure that it's ready to go. Here we go. Let's try. I'm going to pop that side in. You see, it already popped into the groove right there. And I'm going to turn and pop it right in there. You see? Easy. And then we're going to make sure we push this down slightly to make sure it clears the groove needed. And do the same here. Grab. Put that corner in. Pull counterclockwise and drop. And you see how it's not seated properly there? It look really good. So I'm going to grab it because I want it to clear and sit right in there. There we go. It just clipped right in, you see? So now we're good to go. It's all smooth. I'm just going to put a drop down here just in case. We don't want any friction on startup, right? Alright, so here we go. Then we'll install the piston ring. So you got to be careful with this. You don't want to snap it. I don't have any others. Well, might have another. Always got extra. So I'm just going to prop up one side here and slide it out slowly and carefully. I'll just probably grab like this little knife here and slide it right out. If you look at this ring, it's completely black. Look at that. It's like a cast iron black. So we're going to install this as well. We're going to look here on the piston in the groove where the piston ring sits. And there's that pin there. You see, there's only one pin. So what we're going to do is going to line it with the pin, you see? And I'm going to grab one side here from the top. And I'm going to slide that one side in at a time. So I'm going to pop this down, get this opening aligned with the pin. And then I'm going to slide it across the top, open. One side at a time, you see? Now it's in the groove. And I'm going to come around this side here and just slide it right over, you see? Boom. There you go. Smooth. Make sure this is aligned with that properly. Okay. So right now we just want to install this, the correct orientation. This was for the front and this was for the rear of the motor. So we're going to flip it down. Everything is there. The pins are in the wrist. The wrist pin is in. The pins that hold the wrist pin are in. It's in the correct orientation. This is the rear facing the back plate. You got the scoring marks on there from the back plate. We're going to check the piston ring, get it at least close as possible to that little pin. If you can see that there, that little pin there. It's right in the middle. Yep, bouncing around. All right, now we're going to get it in here as it should. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide it in there. All right, hold it. I'm going to get the piston at top dead center here at its highest point. And I'm just going to try to grab it in this method here. And I'm just going to pop this right on the end here. And there you go, snapped right in. Very smooth. As long as the bearing is pressed all the way in, if you look deep back there, you can see the bearing should line up with that wall. And then we're in, we're good to go. I'm gonna come back to the front. I like to keep my finger on the back just to make sure it doesn't pop off of that crankshaft where the piston rod holds onto it. I'll get it up as high as possible and I'll try to realign this pin here, which is right there, you can see, right? And then I'll take the sleeve and I'll just add some grease, some after the run oil actually, all over, and a little on the inside. It'll help it slide in super easy. And then we're going to look here. There's a pin there that holds the sleeve. So we're going to look for that slot right there. And we're just going to try to slide it on. It shouldn't be hard to install. Just double check that the pin is lined up there. We're going to get this in line here. Straight, because you don't want to twist it as you're installing it at all. So just make sure that piston ring is fine. Sitting right there. Come right over the top. Line up this pin with that pin here, these two. Just watch the pin there for the piston ring. And look, it's actually grabbing there, so I don't want it to grab there, right? I want it to be free from that, so make sure it's aligned again, start over, and it should close that gap. It's be a little tricky. Pin is lined up again. There we go. I got it perfectly. I didn't have to fight. Just play with it. Make sure that the pin is lined up properly. This pin is lined up. Don't twist and shim it around. And then you should be able to slide them right down perfectly. Look at that. Boom. We're all aligned. Look at that. Awesome. Okay. So let's do this. Now that everything's together, we know that's good. I'll put my finger on the back. I like to do a rotation just to make sure it's smooth. The piston isn't binding on anything. Everything is smooth, okay? Now, first thing you want to do is the back plate because you want it to hold everything together here. So let's get that on. And remember the back plate, the bottom of the back plate has where you can put a governor sensor, and the top has this notch so the piston can fall into it. So we're going to turn it so we can get the top there, and we'll just drop it down. Just double check to make sure your ring is there. The ring is here and it's fine. Slide it right down in there, like this. Okay. We're gonna get our 2.5 or 3, our 3. I'm just gonna catch a little bit, just to align it on 2. And we can pop that on. There you go. We're just gonna spin them really quick. Get that. All right. And then I like Nitro stuff to be tight, so anything Nitro. So I'm just gonna cross this bar here, and then I'm just gonna crank them down, not super tight, but just enough to make sure we know it won't come loose. All right, so we got the old piston here. Everything looks good, pretty. You look through here, you can see the ring. It's completely black. It's ready to go. All right, so let's do this. Let's get the head on. And remember, I had one bolt that felt funny, so we're gonna double check when we tighten it up. Make sure it's not stripped, okay? I'm going with 30% on this, so I'm gonna add 2 shims, 0.2 shims, right? So we're gonna put them together like so. And then we'll just sit them right in there in the head, like that. Place them in there, you see? And then the OS Max here is gonna match the OS Max here. And I'm gonna keep this here on its side, that way it doesn't fall off. And then we'll sandwich those gaskets right in between, right? Popping on, pretty tight, there you go. Now we'll get our tool, tighten up. And we're gonna just start with a cross pattern, as always. All right, so now that we're snug, we'll install that crossbar that I like so much, and we'll tighten them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll just go around in a circle just to make sure we didn't miss anything here. Pretty much good. All right, check that out. Don't mess around. Your finger on top, feel that pressure. Oh yeah, it's tight. All right, so we're gonna start here. We're gonna install the compression fitting here that keeps the carb in place. So you want to get that curved top portion here, if you can see it. You want that facing the top of the end of the motor, the front. You want to just slide it in, because this is going to hold your carb. So you slide that in, and you're going to slide in the other side here. And kind of hand tight. And you want to make sure that this is flush here. You see how it's sticking out there? You just grab with your fingers and flatten it out. You want to be able to make sure that carb can slide in properly and smooth. So now that we have that partially tightened by hand, and these are clear, we can slide the carb in, which this is the way it goes here. Like that. Needles on OS Max and OS Max. Slide it in, shim it just a little. Until it's completely flush, like that. There you go. Then you gotta make sure it's squared here, which is a little bit off. So I'm just gonna pop that up, boom, a little bit. I think it's a 2.5. We'll see. Probably at 1 point. Yep, 2.5. And we're just gonna tighten up this carb here so it doesn't fall off or have any gaps or anything. So tighten up. It doesn't have to be too tight, but you don't want it to fall on the flight. So get nice and snug. There we go. Look at that. Looking good, huh? Get this towel, just clean them up a little bit. Sometimes if they're really bad, I'll use some alcohol on it and get it all clean. But this one wasn't that bad, so I didn't find it necessary, okay? So that's it, we're completely rebuilt. We're ready for a new start. I like to close the needles completely. And then I'll go in and I'll check the manual, and I'll run a stock setting, break it in for maybe 3 to 4 flights You know, run them hot, no flips, nothing crazy. Just get that fuel flowing and get that piston ring and sleeve and piston all to mate with each other and be ready to get that high RPM pull with that power band. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Until next time.